I'm a little bit worried because this is my first presentation in the last 3 years, but I'll do my best. Okay, I had like an introduction here, but some of that was already said. This is about the Floor. Floor is the application web, like a partially web and mobile application. It's #1 in health and fitness category worldwide. It has around 300 million downloads on the store and around 56 million monthly active user. And this is application with the Belarusian roots, and it's improved women's life, I guess. And yeah, all products developed by the team, and this is our team. We have additional few members on the board. Average expertise in our team something around 11 years. Most of all engineers had a leader role and have a backend background. Also, we're supported by few out-staff engineers in our development. And I get this slide is already written. And yeah. And before we start, I wanna do a little like a survey. I wanna ask you to raise a hand if you're an engineer. Thank you. If you're a manager, yeah, cool. Looks like a few hunter here. Okay, cool. Okay, this presentation will be split into two parts. First one is about more technical one. The second part is more like about the product thing, but we don't have a silver bullet for UX optimization. That's why it's more like about how we do it, but not we do it exactly. And in the end of this presentation will be section for your question. Okay, and first of all, we're going to start from the beginning, how we decide to use our stack. And first of all, we collected requirements, and in our case, we should understand what is our product. Is it a service, static content, or web application? And in case of Flow, it is a web application with a few static pages. And next one pretty important part is where is your user coming from, because this depends on your stack a lot. And in case of Flow, it is mostly paid traffic and a little bit from the internal resources. And potential loading of your application. Is it high load or just regular pages? And in case of Flow, it is potentially high load. Existing infrastructure at the time that we starting web application, it was already created entities for user subscription, endpoint for the analytics, and this all kind of stuff. And yeah. And the last one is the current market trend, I mean tech trends. And at the moment it was React plus server-side rendering. That's why we decided to use Next.js as a main framework, because it's allowed to use a single-page application, create server-side rendering, and generate static content pages. And how we prevent like a huge latency on the high load, and basically we just compile our application, wrap it in a Docker container, create inside of it the endpoint for health check, and put it in the like a Kubernetes infrastructure to auto scaling if we have like a latency on this health check. Okay. When all other our application was pretty done, we start to decide if we're good enough in terms of performance. And it is really a matter for us to improve it. And we found a ton of articles about this, but about correlation between performance and product metrics, but it really depends on your product, because if you sell iPhone cases, it's a one story, but if you provide like a service for organ transplantation to in this case your users like a latency tolerance will be much higher. What it means for us that all additional efforts on improvement in second case will be much lower than in for first case, because they will be ready to wait a little more, and that's why conversion will be like a flat or growing. And okay, after they decide that it is important for us, how we decided, we calculate how many people click on our advertisement and how many of them churn on our page, and calculate different resources, and our potential uplift was between 4 and 80%, and we decided that we should improve it. We start looking at metrics. First of all, it was like a original lighthouse, like maybe every front-end developer do, but it's not really good because you don't know the actual numbers of your user. That's why we're starting using Page Insight. If you know, this is tool from Google too, but it can't get metrics from pages that is under authorization and this kind of stuff. That's why we just switch on web vitals metrics on Sentry, and right now we're working on integrating additionally Cloudflare web analytics, because we want to compare the measurement from different resources. And yeah, most important for us, it is first one, largest content of pain, and third one, time to interact, because they are more valuable in terms of product metrics. It's really strong correlation between two of these metrics. And yeah, I suggest you to take a photo if you want to sell the performance to your manager, because this is the actual data from Google BART collected in August 2023. Yeah, and we start to improve it, and it has a lot of different tactics how to do it, but we start from improving the images, and we just use the tool from the Next.js. It's Next Images. It's pretty cool stuff. It contains all the cutting edge practices. It's out from the box. Compile your application in a different extension, I mean in different format, and put it on the client side and try to deliver it to the user. If user support it, it will be delivered the actual one format. If not, it will be used fallback for this. And else on compiling stage, it looks to predefine breakpoint and scale your image and create the different like variants of your image actual for the different devices. You can control on it. You can set up the different breakpoint, and yeah. And few additional things, it's about placeholder. It's automatically rescale your picture, blur it, and compile it in base 64 and inject it into the component. And your client will see this placeholder already, then bundle will be loaded. Also, it looks on viewport and loading only picture that come placed inside of it. If it's outside, it will be loaded like in a lazy manner, but you can control over it. You can put additional parameter into React component to give a more priority to this image. And yeah. And next improvement, it's about delivering our application worldwide. Out from the box, Next allow to compile your application as a Lambda that can be used for Next serverless infrastructure. And as a vendor, we decided to try Cloudflare Pages and Vercel. Right now, we're still working on it, but it's really promising stuff because they have a huge coverage worldwide and the latency will be much less. I think I will be able to share the result in few months. I think in blog of the company on Medium. And yeah. And as the last slide of this first part, I want to share this graph. It's pretty like a regular one for any product. It may be different, have a little different form, but in general it has this peak, something on the start, near to start, and this mostly flat line in the end of this graph. That is meaning for us. We can understand where we are on it, and easier way to do it is slow down your application and looks if this graph goes lower or just stay on the same line. If it stay on the same line, it means that you're in the right part of this graph and you have a huge potential to improve your product metric by improving performance. If you have like some line going down, it means that you have some capacity, but maybe you are good enough. And harder way to do it is really improve your performance, because each additional millisecond will cost you more in progression. Yeah, and when you start measure it and found that you already see this peak in the product metrics, this is the point that is probably better to stop, improve it, because you are good enough in terms of product metrics. Yeah. And the next one part is more about how we deliver our product, and this will be like a general overview what was happened during 3 years. First of all, when all our like a general funnel with the authorization, subscription, and so on was developed, we start improving it by experimentation, and it was like a waterfall from ideation to release. It was 2 months. We decided that it is too long for us, and we set up our internal goal, experimentation pace, and start to improve it. First like thing that we decided to do is split large experiment to small one and use feature-based experimentation. I will explain all these blocks later. Okay, after that we got another issue that our process become like chaotic, and our product manager can give us so much hypothesis because the technical team was ready to deliver much more than a product manager can propose to us. That's why we go to growth hacking process. Yeah, after some time, it was hard for engineer to generate hypothesis, and we restructure our team a little, just more focus on the engineering part for the engineer, and additional one more product manager on our side. And yeah, right now a little deeper about feature-based experimentation. First of all, from like front-end perspective, it mostly transparent. We're just working with a feature with configuration without any additional like information about experiment at all. We just have like additional parameter in config for different, like for this form, for different option for authorization, for changing color and design for this screen, and that's it. This is engineering side. But from the product side, it can go to our back office, set up experiment, and put the different config for different user group. I mean, control and test, and even run experiment in parallel for the same part of the functionality. And for us, it means that when we create this feature, we don't have to do something more to run multiple experiments, only one time setup, and after that we just reuse this feature without involving engineer. We can run additional experiments. This thing boosts us a lot, and we start thinking about how we can. That was a problem because too much experiment are running and engineer can't understand what is the relation between current functionality that in develop and running right now in production. That's why we decided to create like one social truth for all experiments. We created based on the Jira. We create specific type of ticket with additional fields, with specific workflow, and two dashboard. One for the products with related task, with related statuses, and one for the engineer with the same stuff. And as a result, we got ability to do a query for this experiment with additional attributes. We got statistic into the Jira, and in each moment, every engineer can come and just put on the filter what is running right now on the production, or what is in development status, or what experiment was succeed nearby. And yeah, it helped a lot to not struggle about huge amount of experiment in production. And yeah, after all this stuff, we understood that after maybe 3 or 4 months in growth hacking, engineers start struggling about generating new hypotheses or involve like improvement the previous one, and we decided to move back to like more focus engineer on technical stuff and invite one more product manager, but we didn't close this opportunity window for the engineer to be a part like a product team and has this role on engineer. And as a result of this improvement, we get a 65 time increase in experimentation pace from 1 experiment per 2 months to 15 experiment per 2 week. And that was a really like a celebration when we understand that we achieve. And yeah. And last topic that I can't avoid, it's about privacy and security compliance, because even the giant of the industry can have a big issue or be legal or even closed in a few months because they don't align. That's why we decide that we should be aligned at every time, and we just create this facet for our like a basic function, and they are like a black box for other part of the code, but inside of it they totally rely on consents and send or store the data, even if user give appropriate consent. And yeah, this is all from the content part, but Flow is always looking for the great talent on the market, and maybe it is opportunity to join us. Just, yeah, you can take a photo. And yeah, just one. The last one is my contact. If you have any additional questions or discussion or maybe advice, yeah, just take it and ping me. And yeah, that's it. And I'm ready for your question.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. That's support. And we also have
Great presentation. I have a question regarding experiments. So, at least what I read online, so basically experiments should be conducted for like 1 month to be, to get the proven results. And you were running them for 7 days.
It depends on your metric. If you have a proxy metric that correlated with your target metric, you can push this line to check your measurement closer to your place where you're doing experiment.
Okay, maybe I get it. But can you explain it in more details, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, if you know that if user, I don't know, stay on the page 3 minutes, it will be converted to after 3 pages on checkout. You will just set up this 3 minutes as a target goal if you know that correlation exists and it is proven. That's why you don't have to know that all this journey will be done. You can take this measurement and it will be automatically scale on other related metric.
Yeah, but okay, so maybe I misunderstood, but experiment is basically you are testing feature A versus B, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So, but you have to run that experiment long enough so that you prove that it correlates.
You mean about significance of the result, right? Significance.
Yeah.
It's totally related on your amount of traffic, how many users. It's only about this. If you have enough users, you can just in 1 day complete the experiment.
But maybe that was, some moon phase or whatever. But okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
It can have a fluctuation, but in general, you have a 2 group, and they are pretty similar. That is why it doesn't matter all of factor that is around it. If you testing one thing and then replace it totally, it's not A/B testing and something else. It is you should look at all factors it is around, but at the same time it's nivellate each other.
Okay, thank you.
Questions, anyone?
Good evening. Thank you for your presentation. I have a small question about Flow. You have a vacancy in LinkedIn, which has already responded for front-end developer position, which has already responded more than 300 people. Who are you looking for?
I don't know. In terms of hiring, I can say only about the front end. In general, we have a policy, bar raising policy. It means that if we take in somebody, we have a different access, and on some of the access, this people, this candidate should be better than interviewer. And this is how our talent grows inside the Flow. Every new people bring something new to the company and grow our total experience in general.
Questions?
I have a couple of questions. So your app is around 3 years old, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about trends. So if you would like build it today, which trend would you choose?
The same one, but maybe a little different architecture, because right now we're using Redux, and it's a little struggling to do it on the next stack. It's better to use the native one. There is a lot of optimization under the hood of the Next.js. That's why, in my opinion, it's better to use like a clean Next.js without state management, like Redux or other one.
And so there's a trend called resumability. So it's basically you get a page, it loads statically, only HTML, and then you, when you start interacting, it downloads you JavaScript. So why not use those technologies today? Have you heard about it? So its example framework would be like Quick or Marco.
Sorry, but I know that Next.js can be compiled into static pages, and it's something simple, similar to the Jekyll or something like this. You can compile your static page and add additional scripts here. I don't know, maybe they that you told about is compatible with the Next.js in general, but I can't comment it in deep.
Yeah, and another question is regarding feature flags. So what are you using your custom-made feature flag?
Yeah.
Is it like a microservice or?
No, it's like a server with a back office and this kind of stuff. It's not a microservice. It's pretty spread it with different attribution, because it used on also for mobile application. It have a like profile attribution, client attribution, server attribution, and a lot of option to run experiment in different way.
Okay, and you said you make a lot of experiments.
Yeah.
So have you had any issues with bundle sizes?
Bundle sizes. I'm not sure that how bundle size should affect the experiment.
No, so the experiments affect bundle size.
No, in general, because we don't have a different like a variant of one component. We have one component with one feature that can customized by the feature config. We don't have a lot of different components. I have like, for example, this registration page have one component and different option to customize it. I mean, and they are pretty flat without any like extra effort. If we see that something is winning, we take it as a control and build next iteration on top of it, and that prevent to like a multiplication of the same component, and our bundle size not growing very much.
Okay, thanks.
Questions?
How do you control the shape of your web vitals? Meaning, with each pull request, they can degrade, right? So
Yeah.
do you have a CI step for it, or you just monitor them?
Yeah,
like
we just monitor for now, but we right now looking deeper on it, and that's why we will think how to like put some alerts in or something like this in it.
Okay. And another question related to the same topic. You mentioned that you established that correlation metric between conversion rate and the, let's say, largest contentful paint. So how did you do that? Do you use some magic tool, or how you can
we just
connect
like
those?
ask analytics to do the job, and that's it.
But still, somehow you need to gather that LCP from the user, from the client, then correlate it with the user session and stuff like that.
Right now, all this stuff about the performance in more like on the manual work, but yeah, this is a place to improve. But I don't know. We're just trying to understand where we already understand where we are on this graph, and we just moving and try to understand where we were when our performance will be good enough, because like a perfect performance might be not that Google Lighthouse show you.
Okay, thanks.
Any questions?
So have you migrated to Next.13?
Yeah, it was
And,
struggling.
Yeah, and have you seen any performance issues or maybe improvements?
We don't have it in production right now, but we do it on the code level, and yeah, we should spend some time to stabilize it, because it's a lot of different issues with the suspense and transition, this kind of stuff.
And in terms of like code structure, has it changed a lot or improved or
No,
got worse?
no, it looks pretty similar that we have on 12 version.
Okay, thanks.